Oh, there you go.
I'm just going to announce that we're going live, and then we're ready to roll.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
All right, we are ready to roll.
All right. How we doing, Noah? How we doing? All right. Mike A6199, 12-man PPR, wondering if you should start Dart over Caleb this week. You really don't trust Caleb Williams. He seems mad and consistent. Is there anyone in your bench you should be flexing over Vidal? You have Chargers tight end who went off on waivers still. Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of a preview of what I could refer to as either the Magnificent Seven or the Elite Eight and what I try to build each week for parlays. I'm not terrible at these long shots. I've had some good success in history. And the reason I bring that up here is because I think a very key piece of it for me this weekend is going to revolve heavily around that Baltimore-Chicago game. I think it's arguably the best game environment on the slate. So I really like Caleb Williams in the spot, and I do not agree with the line of how much they should be dogs at. But with that said, your other question is, should you be flexing over Vidal? No, JSN. Marks, I think, is going to have. I really like Marks in this spot. I prefer him to Vidal. I think he's going to get a few more touches than what the market's expecting. Hopefully, we get Bucky back this week, and hopefully, there's a trade for Tony Pollard sometime soon because that would make Tyjae valuable, and hopefully, Tony Pollard's valuable as well. But in general, I think this is a very solid team, man. I don't really have anything to say. Nice one.
Agree.
All right, Rockies Revenge, 12-team PPR, tight end premium, 3 and 4 in your worst bye week. Should you start Loveland or pick up Theo Johnson or Juwan Johnson from the wire? Shard Smith or waivers? But you like your running back matchup. Might trade Sutton and Ladd for CD, but the CD owner is waffling right now. You've tied with 3 teams for the last 2 playoff spots, 8 playoff teams. Right on. So yes, we definitely need to improve our running back room. I like that you already have Loveland. He's going to be somebody I really, really, really like for this week, just because I think he's going to have good usage. Alex, honestly, in a fun spot just off of pure usage, that'll be fine. Yeah, there's not really much you can kind of do here, unfortunately. You can try to give it off your receivers, but I think it's just kind of better to hold and kind of wait it out. I don't mind taking a chance on Algier though over Kyle Monungai or RJ Harvey. And the reason I say that is because, sorry, Jackson, but your team is likely going to get slaughtered, and I think you're very aware of that yourself.
Yeah.
So Algier, I think, is actually not a terrible spot start this week if you need them. Let's see here. This is you, both Noah and Goose Island. Interesting. I'm pretty sure this is Noah's because I want to say he's Rocky's Revenge, but I could easily be wrong. Trade a second for Knicks and Dynasty. You have JD and no backup. Yeah, Knicks is definitely worth more than a second, my guy.
It can't be super flex then, right?
I'm guessing it's not, but still, that makes no sense. Who would you start then, Tyler or I feel like I would take more chances on Tyler because the thing is Monungai's usage, I feel like it was more of a product of the fact that they were just dominating so much. RJ,
I do think it's going to be kind of a split. I mean, look good enough that he deserves some carries. I would maybe I mean, I don't know who you drop necessarily, but Brashard Smith is kind of a nice little waiver wire pickup.
Yeah. Guess you could drop like Darnell Mooney for him, if anything. But yeah, that's really kind of about it. Like, you're just kind of in a rough spot for running backs this week, and you kind of just got to trudge it out. Hopefully, Tootin starts taking on a larger workload after the bye, post-bye rookie bumps. Let's see here. Miss you too, Noah. If Falcons are winning, Algier will have 10 points or more. That's kind of where I'm at with it as well. Like, I would be very surprised. Like, something that we see happen a lot is like when we get in really chalky spots because of how good they are, that like Bijan Robinson will have like a decent day, right? And then like Algier, for whatever reason, just hyper nukes behind him. And we're all just kind of like, oh, of course, it's just the backup stealing 2 touchdowns out of nowhere. Kind of love it. So that's the general gist there. Kamara and Waddle for Janty. I'd want to be on the Kamara and Waddle side. Kamara is realistically going to have better days ahead now that Kendra Miller tore his ACL. Speaking of Kendra Miller, hi. Drake May, Brees Hall, RJ Harvey, Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr., Evan Ingram, Sedarian. So you can put Sedarian up there. And then who are we filling in for the flex? Hopefully Bucky's back this week, in which case then you have 2 good running backs. And then we can probably be hunting on the waiver wire to try to get somebody else for that flex spot. It's an ugly play, but some guys that I would be looking at are going to be Jaden Higgins. I would make him my primary priority because he's going to be the one filling in for Nico Collins. So he's going to be a very strong option against San Fran this week because I imagine Nico won't play considering concussion protocols. But for all I know, he navigates it like Marv. And then Arian Smith, it's a throw-up play, but if Tyrod Taylor's playing, you got a pocket passer who's probably going to throw for 40 times in a game, and the kid's going to be out there getting volume. In theory, it's going to be between him and Josh Reynolds. So that's another ugly spot.
Garrett could play too.
Garrett could play? I thought he was out for a lot longer for some reason.
No, I think they're hopeful he can play this game.
If I'm Garrett Wilson,
at least that's the reports I saw yesterday. Yeah, I mean, if I'm Garrett Wilson, I'm not playing either. But I saw that report yesterday. I don't know what truth it holds, but
interesting. Jets wide receiver doubtful for Panthers game with knee injury.
That was this week, though, or last week.
That was 8 hours ago.
But the Panthers, they just played the Panthers.
I don't know why it was posted 8 hours ago then. That's an interesting choice by them. So, yeah, I think he was a bit doubtful for that game. All right. And we move forward. Dierte starts at 10-man full PPR, 6-1 with all luck. I mean, hey, it's good to be 6-1 regardless now. Caleb Williams, Quinshawn Judkins, Bijan Robinson, Nico Collins, Quentin Johnson, Jake Ferguson, Tyler Warren. I mean, this doesn't really look like a full team.
I guess QJ kind of fluked his way into a wide receiver 2 slot, but I mean, he's probably just going to be that going forward. So it's not like you might have gotten lucky with the draft pick, but his performance now is legit.
Bro, I feel like this guy is unlucky, if anything, with like McLaurin and Chase Brown. Like, this guy's fought through some adversity for a 6-1 record. Nice.
Yeah, I mean,
I would trade Warren or Ferguson maybe if you feel like your roster's down. If you need someone that has if there's someone in your league that is struggling to start a tight end. I mean, you have easily 2 top 10 guys. You have 2 top 5 guys probably. So you could potentially move off one of those dudes with someone to shore up that flex slot maybe.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a really good team, man. Like, there's not really – I wouldn't say this is luck. This is just a good team. Yeah, I like it. All right, move forward. Viraj, 16-man PPR, want to trade for a real tight end, but not sure who to sell on. Okay.
Trade with that last guy.
Yeah,
join the same league.
Jackson Dart, Saquon, Quinshawn, Drake, Stephon Diggs, Theo, Harvey, Swift. All right. So Bucky hopefully will be back sooner than later. I have no idea what their schedule is for him. Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty strong team for the most part. I'm still kind of on the logic of just holding out with this squad. Like, you have a really good team for what is, I imagine, a very thin league at 16-man. Maybe, move off of Diggs, but, I personally wouldn't want to do that. I don't know. I like this team a lot.
You feel really good about Swift, too.
Yeah.
I don't know how you got this team in a 16-man league.
That's just the part
Saquon, Drake, and Bucky. But however you manage that, well done.
Yeah. I think those tight ends will continue to keep you up and floating, Rob. I'm rather confident in that. All right, on to the next one. Magic Man, you're currently 2-5. You've had horrible luck with people just outscoring you no matter how much you put up. You're torn between Danny Dimes and Herbert this week. He'll be dropping Kate B for probably Franklin this week and dropping Ridley to pick up another options are Mooney or Alec Pierce.
Easily Danny, in my opinion.
With
the matchup.
It's just kind of a question of like I'm hoping that they just put it all on the gas and maybe he rushes in for one. Unfortunately, Herbert's matchup is anything but ideal. But if they have Joe Alt this week, I actually think he could be a little bit interesting. Then the production should be better in theory, at least. Running back wise, Jonathan Taylor, Kamara are sick. Ja'Cory Cross-Kamara is going to be a sit if there is no Jaden Daniels, which based off the line, that's what that's indicating. Tez Johnson and Kendrick Bourne is definitely a receiving core.
And these guys, 2 guys on bye. It's kind of what you got to do.
Yeah, that's just what you got to run.
I mean, like I would start Ridley over Tez.
Yeah,
probably. I mean, I guess you don't know. Mike Evans is going to be out a week, so
I'd go with
him in there. But I think Kendrick Bourne, like you got to just be monitoring some practice reports and things. If Pearsall plays or anything like that, then I think you chuck one of those guys into that slot. But
that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure if it's a fluke, Nova. That's why I think Herbert could be interesting this week. But aside from that, I would be prioritizing Jaden Higgins on the waiver. I don't know. For all I know, Nico doesn't miss any time, but like that should be a good spot start against a softer defense in theory. Ja'Cory Cross-Kamara, unfortunately, I just don't really see the upside for him this week in this matchup. But trying to think of how else you could adjust for win now. I don't know. You've got a lot of good pieces. In theory, Jonathan Taylor's in contention for the player of the year, so maybe he goes for 40 points this week. But yeah, that's what we're rocking with. If you're really trying to win now, like maybe you try to move off of JSN for like more stable production for just like the short term, but like I don't know what you could really get in return that would even be equal to JSN at this point. Like he's the wide receiver 1 more than likely. All right, on to the next one. Curious Go. You traded Waller for Goddard, but that's the only change. Right on.
Aged well.
Yeah.
Look at Josh and Cook back this week, and then you're looking at Allen, Cook, Javonte Williams. I mean, it's a good team. I would be starting. Who do the Panthers on bye this week? Who do the Panthers play? No, they're not on bye.
They play the Bills.
I mean, I think Tet is like a must start in that game. I guess this is probably just your lineup from last week, but he would be going into that Keenan slot who's taking on the Vikings. And then you felt pretty good about Devontae Smith after these past few weeks. It's just tough to manage. I think you have enough people on your bench and things that you could make some 2-for-1s happen for sure.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I like this squad. I don't really have much to say on it, to be completely transparent. Like, it's very good. You could try to sell high on Devonta Smith, but I just find it very hard to get deals done for a player that just had a 30 fantasy point week. More often than not, people are like, oh, you're just trying to sell high. All right. On to the next one. Jay, you need another player this week and trade BTJ for Odunze. I'm not opposed to it at this point. It just looks like he's just not able to get on the correct connection, whereas Odunze is at least competent quarterback play, and I don't think his role's really going away.
Are you concerned at all about his drop off the last 2 weeks, or do you think that's more fluky than anything? I mean, clearly, like pounding the ball on the ground was the game plan last week, but Odunze, after like 4 amazing weeks, the last 2 have left a bit to be desired for sure.
Yeah, I just think Aroma Odunze is more than fine, and you can just rely on it. Whereas like Trevor Lawrence, you're just kind of slamming your head into the table constantly, being like, God, this guy sucks. And I don't know. At this point, I'm willing to just be like, I think Travis Hunter might end up having the better season between the two. It's kind of looking like it could trend that way if this continues forward. Like it's been injury, it's been lack of connection. But Odunze, I think, is an equivalent value. Like if we were to do a fantasy draft right now, I would imagine that Odunze and BTJ are going probably around apart from one another, with Odunze being in the front.
Yeah, it's totally fair.
But that's how I would look at it. Overall, looking at your team, though, I think Chase Brown is honestly in line for some very good days ahead. We're also due for a Joe Flacco game where he just quite literally just plays awful. I just can't tell you what spot it's going to be just yet.
Could be this week against the Jets.
It could be. I don't think they're going to have Sauce Gardner, so I think he's going to be in for a good week, to be honest. But Fannin and Taylor I like respectively. I think Fannin's in a difficult spot. Yeah, I mean, this is still a really good squad. In theory, you try to upgrade your running backs room, but hopefully you'll get some high-quality talent when they get back from injury. Maybe even try to package them together for a higher tier out talent. Kenneth Walker, the biggest fantasy industry miss this year by a wide margin, it looks like. Thanks, guys.
Do you think there's anything to be said about like him getting more workload out of the bye or anything like that?
It's definitely possible. It's just, I don't know. I'm kind of so confused on why they have such an affinity for Zach Charbonnet, and every quote that comes out just does not speak positively for him.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like, I don't know, disdain, I guess, at this point. You're still waiting.
He's far less explosive. I think he is good in the red zone and like in short yardage downs and stuff. So that part at least makes sense, I guess. But like anything else just is puzzling to me.
Yeah. All right. You're still waiting on Jacoby to get the ball rolling. You think it'll happen soon? No biased answers. I mean, if he's on a new team, sure. The problem with the Raiders right now is they just don't have competent offensive line play. Like, it's such a boring and annoying answer that like people try to use all the time, but the reality is the same. Like, if you don't have competent offensive line play, you just can't get anything running. That's part of why we were saying to sell Ashton Janty. It's not because we're not a believer in the talent. It's just because you don't have Colton Miller for a little bit, and he's very key to making that offense somewhat efficient. Thanks, guys. Been trying to figure out what to do because you're 1-6 with that team you did before this one. No problem. Happy to be able to help at least a little bit. All right. On to the next one. Ajar, 12-man PPR. You're 3-4 now, going on a 3-game losing streak. Oof, painful. Life is horrible. Trevan is useless, and you might just drop him for some Burger King foot lettuce. Fair enough. If you ever see Mike Vrabel in public, he'll be cruising for a cruising. I pretty much just started the whole Washington offense, and they sucked. Tyler Warren is my only good player. Please give me some sort of hope to your rather meaningless fan. I feel you. Yeah, I mean, that happens, unfortunately. Jaden Daniels and Ja'Cory Krosky, I'm not going to lie to you. You're probably about to go on another loss here. With kind of how this weekend is setting up for you. Because I think realistically RJ has upside in this type of spot, whereas like Travion, I just don't want to be starting any running backs against Cleveland. The defense is clearly in a tier itself. Like Cleveland and Houston are both in similar situations to where their defenses are in a tier of their own, but their offenses can't do anything. But the thing is, like, at least Cleveland has somewhat of a competent offense, but I digress. Jaylen Warren, this just doesn't seem like you're going to be winning this week. I'm sorry. I hate to be the bearer of bad news that way. But what adjustments we can try to do is we can realistically just kind of clean house for our waivers and try to see if we can get some good adjustments there. I like Grant's call of Brashard Smith, and hopefully you get Jerick McKinnon like usage this week. I think that's definitely in the cards, especially with how that game fit plays out. If they continue to dominate like they have, then that also means that you're going to be getting more touches for him as well. So I like taking a bit more shots there with Brashard. Now let's look at these other options we can take chances with. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, we want to be going after Jaden Higgins because we want to chase some upside there in theory, but that gives you another potential flex spot you could be starting, and then we can just chase volume. So I guess the better question then becomes between RJ Harvey and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, who would you feel more comfortable starting this week between those two?
Probably RJ if Jaden isn't playing.
I feel like I'd have to side the same. Aside from that, I don't think you're going to get Ricky this week, but I could also be very wrong on that. Not fully aware of his status, but I think we could be chasing another volume option as well off of waivers. But in general, that's going to be the general gist of how to try to get this team at least on track for this week. We're also going to have to drop, let's see, I think we've gotten 2-3 now. So the fourth one, we're going to have to go get a quarterback off of waivers as well to replace Jaden Daniels, because imagine he's not going to be playing this week. So yeah, a lot of adjustments, but it's definitely still winnable. We're just going to have to kind of play a little bit more strategic on the waiver wire and hope for a little bit of fantasy success, essentially, and see how we can pivot. And of course, always tune in to the late episodes that I put out on Sunday mornings, because those will give you my odd starts that I'm just like, you know what, you're really digging through the bottom of the barrel. Try one of these guys. Last week, you'd have been very upset with my little Jordan Humphrey pick, but you'd also been very happy if you ended up on the Rondé Gadsden side. So take it for what you will. All right, on to the next one. Baby Pluto, 12-team PPR double flex, 9-5 record, the median. Any trades you should make, and is it worth using number one waiver wire priority on Dart/Gadsden? Which one, if so? I would make Dart the priority if you have Jaden Daniels here. Like, he's just, you need that floor at minimum. Aside from that, though,
I
really
don't know. I think I guess you have McBride on bye. Yeah, you don't need Gadsden. I would do Dart. Yeah.
Whittington, you really don't need. Puka's going to be back after the bye. I'm rather confident. That just seemed how they set up this kind of injury to deal with it, at least. Aside from that, this is a super team, man. I'm surprised this is even 9-5 with a median line. Maybe consider selling Rashad White, but honestly, I think that's probably dumb logic because he's probably going to be utilized more in the receiving game even more now, considering the recent injuries. Let's see. Those you were dropped. Makes sense. Yeah. Claim Reynolds or Smith. I haven't looked at the first read rate data, but I will let Grant kind of take over and talk about this team for a sec while I look into that.
I mean, I would take Smith of those off first glance, but looking at this team, I mean, you kind of just need Puka to come back, and your record's good enough now that you can hang on for a while, even if he misses one more week. But I think ideally, out of the bye, there's no world where I think he's missing that game out of it. Your receivers can hang for a week. I think everybody, at least in leagues I'm in and stuff, everybody I'm playing is dealing with crazy bye weeks, and I am as well. So everybody's lineup is going to be looking a little weird this week. So I think this is more than fine to trot out there for a week and see what happens. Yeah, I mean, I would be totally content leaving it as is. If Pearsall doesn't play, I'm assuming that's another flex spot. I feel okay about RJ Harvey. I mean, he's going to be kind of fluky, but he's always live to score a touchdown and kind of bail you out. And I would feel good about this. Obviously, you want Lamar back for your Ravens pass catchers, which is still pretty up in the air right now, but I would feel good about your team for sure.
We're trying to replace Ricky Pearsall with Jaden Higgins, though, here in reference to like Chris Moore. Like that's who we want to be putting in the flex if we're really trying to take a shot here because he should have the highest upside of these guys. I don't mind taking another chance on Tez Johnson, but realistically, like that offense will likely be humming through Emeka Egbuka and the other pieces there. Like Tez is just good for spike weeks, if anything, but we want to try to go for target share, and I think that's where I'll lead it towards. If there is no Christian Kirk, then I think we can start having a conversation about Jalen Noble, but we'll get there when we get there.
Would you use Jaden Higgins on higher priority than Dart?
Not on this team. Like you need the quarterback more than anything for this squad.
But so I don't love. I mean, if you think Jaden Daniels is out multiple weeks, then it's obviously a different story. But I think like this matchup for Jackson Dart isn't like the most appealing in the world, and there could be other guys on waivers that you could get value out of if you think that Jaden Higgins has potential to play well this week, and he's a rookie, so he then gets more involved in the offense going forward. It could be a better long-term play, but
it could be. I like Gadsden. I think he's more of a dynasty guy. And as much as I don't know. I've just seen Dart surprise me so many more times at this point. I'm just kind of like, let's just ride it and see where it takes us. That's typically how I approach a lot of dynasty trades as well. As it's like, because I was debating this with Kenny the other day, and he was just like, all right, Ja'Cory Cross-Kamara, should I flip him for this? And I'm like, probably not. Like, you should just wait till the end of the season because you really don't know where the value is going to land for a lot of these players. Because it's one sense to be like, oh, I want to get out of this quick. But for all you know, you just made one of the worst trades of all time just because you thought you could get ahead of market. But once the season's done, then you'll be able to kind of finalize your true position. All right, on to the next one. For Shizzle, I'm not going to say this other part of that. 3 and 4, half PPR. Caleb Williams, Christian McCaffrey, Chase Brown, Rome Odunze, Tyler McMillan. You got McBride on bye, Bucky Irving. And then how are we adjusting accordingly? So we are going to need a tight end off of waivers. Jaden Higgins, I'm happy you got him on your bench. I would probably go pick up Dalton Schultz as well because I think he's not a bad option. Mason Taylor could be intriguing dependent upon Garrett Wilson's status. Yeah, you just really need a tight end for this squad. I think Chase Brown's going to have better days ahead of him, especially if there's no sauce. It should be a rather positive game script in theory. This is your team, 12 team, and Bucky was your last round keeper. Who should you drop lane for other than Gadsden and Bashard?
He just said Dalton Schultz makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Schultz is an option. Trying to think who else tight end.
I wouldn't use your number one priority on Gadsden because, like Will said, I think he's more of a dynasty play, and there's no world where you ever start him over Trey McBride when Bride's not on bye. So I wouldn't put all your eggs into that basket because unless you view him as a potential trade candidate if he has another good week and stuff, I feel like that's probably a a fair idea as well. But you have enough like potential flex options and upside swings that you don't need to prioritize that if you don't want to.
Yeah. Overall, like I would just be trying to prioritize the tight end on flavors. I think this team squad is fine as it is. Trade K9 and Pitts for McBride week 2 paid off massively. Oh, hell yeah. That is a massive win for you, my friend. Massive. All right. Thumbs, half points per rush attempt, full PPR 12-team league. All right. I think it's good for the most part. I feel like, yeah, you're going to get Bucky back, and that should be good. Yeah, this is a super team. I don't really have anything else to say to you, Thumbs, aside from thumbs up. You should trade a wide receiver for an RB upgrade. I mean, you can if you want. Trying to think. Like, technically, yeah, I guess you could. It's just like, who would you realistically get off of? Maybe you'd flip, like, Amika. Just because, like, people are going to be like, oh, yeah, his value is about to skyrocket once again. I don't really want to lose Rice, Jefferson, or JSN considering their respective situations. Like, maybe it's more of a house of cards. This is a super team, Thumbs. I don't know what to tell you. Like, this is crazy. Bo Nix, Rashid Rice, Justin Jefferson, Amika Egbuka, and JSN as your primary 4 receivers. And you also have Bucky Irving and Quinshon Judkins with George Kittle. So I'm surprised to hear that this is a 12-team league, is all I'll say, I guess. But yeah, all right. Seems to be a bit of a shorter one today. Appreciate you all. Hopefully you found this helpful. We'll be back next week to discuss some more of these kind of team reviews, and we're excited for NBA today. And yeah, until next
Good luck,
time,
everyone.
appreciate you all. Subscribe to
Peace.
it already. Peace, y'all.